The Berlin Wall, a stark concrete barrier, a symbol of Cold War division. For 28 years, it sliced through the heart of Berlin, separating families and friends, east from west, communism from capitalism. The wall was a scar on the face of Europe, a reminder of the ideological battle that gripped the world. It represented fear, oppression, and the suppression of freedom. Its shadow loomed large over Germany and the world. Imagine a different world. A world where the Berlin Wall still stands. A world where the Cold War never truly ended. What would this world look like? What would be the political ramifications? The economic consequences? The social and cultural impacts? The ripples of this alternate history would be felt far and wide. This is the question we dare to ask. This is the journey we're about to embark on. A journey into the heart of an alternate history. Join us as we explore the what-ifs and maybes. Let's delve into a world where the Berlin Wall never fell, where the Iron Curtain remained firmly in place. We will examine the potential consequences across all facets of life, from the halls of power to the everyday lives of ordinary people, from the heart of Europe to the global stage. The fall of the Berlin Wall was a pivotal moment in human history. By imagining a world where it never happened, we gain a deeper understanding of its profound impact. World War II, a global conflict that reshaped the world. From the ashes of war, a new struggle emerged. The Cold War, a clash of ideologies, capitalism versus communism, democracy versus authoritarianism. The Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, sought to expand its influence across Eastern Europe. The United States, under President Truman, aimed to contain the spread of communism. The stage was set for a decades-long standoff. In 1949, Germany was officially divided. East Germany fell under Soviet control, becoming the German Democratic Republic. West Germany, backed by the Western Allies, became the Federal Republic of Germany. The division of Germany was a microcosm of the broader Cold War. It was a physical manifestation of the ideological divide that split the world in two. East Germany became a satellite state of the Soviet Union. Its citizens lived under a repressive communist regime. West Germany, on the other hand, embraced democracy and a market-based economy. It experienced an economic miracle, rebuilding from the ruins of war to become a major economic power. The contrast between East and West Germany was stark. Berlin, situated deep within East Germany, became a focal point of Cold War tensions. West Berlin, an enclave of freedom within communist territory, was a constant source of friction. The Cold War was not confined to Europe. It was a global struggle that played out on multiple fronts. From Korea to Vietnam, from Cuba to Afghanistan, the superpowers engaged in proxy wars and fueled regional conflicts. The threat of nuclear annihilation loomed large. Both sides amassed vast arsenals of nuclear weapons. The world held its breath, fearing a catastrophic conflict that could end civilization as we knew it. Espionage and propaganda were rampant. Both sides sought to undermine each other through covert operations and disinformation campaigns. The Cold War was a battle for hearts and minds, as much as it was a military and economic contest. As tensions between East and West escalated, so too did the flow of refugees from East to West Berlin. East Germans, seeking freedom and opportunity, fled their communist homeland in droves. The East German government, facing economic stagnation and political instability, sought to stem the tide. On August 13, 1961, the unthinkable happened. In the dead of night, East German troops began erecting a barbed wire barrier that would soon become the Berlin Wall. The wall, a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain, cut through the heart of Berlin, dividing families, friends, and a city. The Berlin Wall became a potent symbol of Cold War division, oppression, and the suppression of freedom. It stood as a stark reminder of the human cost of ideological conflict. The Berlin Wall, once a barbed wire scar, solidified into concrete. It became a symbol of a divided Europe, a tangible reminder of the Cold War's icy grip. East and West Germany, locked in a stalemate. The wall's presence cast a long shadow. It fueled mistrust and suspicion between East and West. Diplomatic efforts faltered. Negotiations stalled. The dream of a unified Germany seemed a distant hope. Within the Eastern Bloc, anxieties simmered. The Soviet Union, facing its own internal pressures, tightened its grip on its satellite states. The specter of dissent haunted the Kremlin. The West watched with cautious eyes. The Berlin Wall became a litmus test for Soviet intentions, a concrete barrier to peace and stability in Europe. In East Germany, the Stasi, the infamous secret police, tightened their control. Dissidents disappeared. Walls had ears. Fear became a way of life. The dream of freedom seemed a distant whisper. The economic disparity between East and West Germany grew. The West, with its booming economy, became a beacon of prosperity. The East struggled to keep pace, its people yearning for the opportunities denied to them. The wall's presence fueled a brain drain. Skilled workers, intellectuals, and artists fled to the West, seeking freedom of expression and economic opportunity, leaving behind a void in East German society. The East German government responded with increased repression. Travel restrictions tightened, media censorship intensified. The wall, once a barrier to movement, became a cage for the soul. Despite the risks, whispers of dissent began to echo through the Eastern Bloc. In Poland, the Solidarity movement gained momentum, challenging communist rule and demanding workers' rights. Their courage inspired others. In Czechoslovakia, the memory of the Prague Spring lingered, a reminder that the desire for freedom could be crushed, but not extinguished. The seeds of rebellion had been sown. Even in East Germany, cracks appeared in the facade. Underground movements organized. Samizdat literature circulated. People yearned for change, for a life beyond the wall. The world watched these developments with a mix of hope and apprehension. Could these flickers of dissent ignite a firestorm of change? Or would the iron fist of communism extinguish them? The continued existence of the Berlin Wall cast a pall over international relations. The Cold War, far from thawing, remained frozen in a state of uneasy stalemate. The superpowers, locked in a nuclear standoff, eyed each other with suspicion. The United States, under the leadership of Ronald Reagan, adopted a hardline stance against the Soviet Union, labeling it an evil empire and increasing military spending. The world held its breath, fearing a miscalculation that could lead to disaster. The Soviet Union, under the aging leadership of Leonid Brezhnev, struggled to maintain its grip on its crumbling empire. Economic stagnation, political dissent, and the drain of the Afghanistan war took their toll. The world watched and waited. The Berlin Wall, once a symbol of division, now represented a world on the brink. A world desperate for change but fearful of the consequences. The Berlin Wall, more than just a physical barrier, became a stark dividing line between two economic realities. In the West, the Wirtschaftswunder, the economic miracle, continued its upward trajectory. Fueled by free markets, innovation, and Western aid, West Germany rose to become an economic powerhouse. The Deutsche Mark, a symbol of stability and prosperity, became one of the world's leading currencies. West German companies like Volkswagen and Siemens expanded globally, their products becoming synonymous with quality and reliability. In contrast, East Germany's economy stagnated. Burdened by central planning, inefficiency, and a lack of investment, it lagged far behind its Western counterpart. Shortages of consumer goods became commonplace, a constant reminder of the economic disparities. The wall's presence exacerbated these economic divisions. It prevented the free flow of goods, services, and labor, stifling innovation and competition. The economic divide became a powerful symbol of the Cold War's enduring legacy. The economic divergence between East and West Germany had profound social and political consequences. In the West, citizens enjoyed a high standard of living, with access to consumer goods, affordable housing, and social welfare programs. The West German government, bolstered by economic success, invested heavily in infrastructure, education, and social programs, creating a virtuous cycle of growth and opportunity. The promise of the German economic miracle seemed within reach for many. In contrast, East Germans faced a different reality. The Stasi, ever present, monitored their every move. Economic opportunities were limited, consumer goods were scarce, the dream of a better life seemed a distant whisper. The economic disparities fueled resentment and a sense of injustice. The wall, a constant reminder of their confinement, became a symbol of oppression and a target for their frustrations. The continued existence of the Berlin Wall had profound implications for Europe as a whole. It solidified the division of the continent into two blocks, the capitalist West and the communist East. Western Europe, bolstered by the economic success of West Germany, continued its integration. The European Economic Community, the precursor to the European Union, expanded its membership and deepened its economic ties. Eastern Europe, under the thumb of the Soviet Union, remained economically and politically isolated. Its people denied the freedoms and opportunities enjoyed by their Western counterparts. The economic gap between East and West Europe widened, fueling tensions and resentment. The Berlin Wall, a concrete manifestation of this division, became a symbol of a continent held hostage to Cold War rivalries, a stark reminder of the human cost of ideological conflict. The economic consequences of a permanently divided Germany reverberated far beyond Europe. The Cold War, fueled by ideological and economic competition, continued to shape global affairs. The United States, facing a persistent economic rival in a hypothetical, still powerful Soviet Union, would likely have maintained higher levels of military spending. This could have constrained social programs and led to a larger budget deficit. The Soviet Union, burdened by the economic inefficiencies of its command economy and the costs of maintaining its grip on Eastern Europe, would likely have faced continued economic stagnation, potentially leading to further internal dissent and instability. The global economy, divided by Cold War rivalries, would likely have been characterized by lower levels of trade and investment. This could have resulted in slower economic growth and reduced global prosperity. The Berlin Wall divided East and West, cleaving through the souls of the German people. In the West, freedom and opportunity flourished. Artists explored new forms of expression. Creativity buzzed, shaping a new identity. But in the East, the wall cast a long shadow. The Stasi stifled dissent, creating fear. The party dictated cultural expression. The wall symbolized their confinement. Their lives were hemmed in by concrete and barbed wire. The cultural divide manifested most starkly in access to information. West Germans enjoyed a free press, a plethora of television and radio stations, and access to Western music and literature. Their world was awash in information and diverse perspectives. East Germans, on the other hand, received their news filtered through the lens of the state-controlled media. Their access to Western music, films, and literature was severely restricted. The party sought to control the narrative, to shape the thoughts and aspirations of its citizens. But the thirst for freedom, for uncensored information, proved impossible to quench. East Germans risked their liberty to tune into Western radio broadcasts. Their antennas pointed towards the hope of freedom. Smuggled books and magazines became prized possessions, passed hand to hand like precious jewels. The wall might have divided the land, but it couldn't completely extinguish the human spirit's yearning for connection, for truth, for freedom of thought. The economic stagnation in East Germany bled into the cultural sphere. Lack of resources hampered artistic expression. Artists, writers, and musicians struggled to find the materials and the platforms to showcase their work. The emphasis on socialist realism, while intended to promote the ideals of the worker state, often resulted in uninspired and formulaic art. Conformity was valued above creativity, leading to a sense of cultural stagnation. The wall itself became a canvas for dissent on the Western side, a colorful tapestry of protest and hope. but on the eastern side it remained stark and forbidding, a grim reminder of the limitations imposed on their lives. The cultural divide between East and West Germany deepened with each passing year, a stark reminder of the human cost of a divided world. The Berlin Wall's presence would have profoundly impacted the German people, an entire generation defined by the wall. In the West, it would become a fixed element. Resignation would replace initial shock. In the East, life behind the wall was all they knew. Dreams shaped by limitations, horizons bounded by concrete and barbed wire, a quiet yearning for freedom. A divided Germany meant a divided identity, marked by Cold War scars. The fall couldn't erase decades of separation, diverging experiences and unshared histories. The Berlin Wall, a stark symbol of Cold War division, would have cast a long shadow over global affairs. The world, held hostage to the superpower standoff, would have navigated a geopolitical landscape fraught with tension and uncertainty. The United States, facing a persistent Soviet adversary, would likely have remained deeply entrenched in European affairs. Military commitments to NATO would have remained high, demanding a significant economic and political investment. The Soviet Union, burdened by the economic and political strains of maintaining its control over Eastern Europe, would have likely struggled to assert its global ambitions. Its focus would have remained on consolidating its grip on its satellite states and countering Western influence. The non-aligned nations, caught between the two superpowers, would have faced constant pressure to choose sides. This geopolitical balancing act would have limited their autonomy and hindered their development. The continued existence of the Berlin Wall and the enduring Cold War would have likely fueled a renewed arms race. Both superpowers, locked in a perpetual struggle for dominance, would have felt compelled to maintain and modernize their nuclear arsenals. The development and deployment of new weapon systems, driven by fear and mistrust, would have consumed vast resources and further strained the global economy. The specter of a nuclear winter, a chilling possibility, would have continued to haunt humanity. The fear of technological surprise, of one side gaining a decisive advantage, would have fueled espionage and covert operations. The world would have existed in a perpetual state of unease, the threat of annihilation, a constant shadow. The arms race, a self-perpetuating cycle of fear and distrust, would have diverted resources from essential needs, hindering global development and perpetuating a climate of fear. In a world where the Berlin Wall never fell, the human cost of a divided Europe would have been immeasurable. Millions would have continued to live under the yoke of communist rule, denied basic freedoms and opportunities. The flow of refugees from east to west, while stemmed by the wall, would likely have continued, albeit in a trickle. Desperate souls, risking their lives for a chance at freedom, would have become a tragic symbol of a world divided. The cultural and intellectual exchange between East and West, already stifled by the Iron Curtain, would have been further hampered. The free flow of ideas, essential for progress and understanding, would have been stifled. The world would have been a less vibrant, less dynamic place. A world where the human spirit, though resilient, would have borne the scars of a freedom denied. We've journeyed into a chilling alternate history, a world where the Berlin Wall never crumbled, where the Iron Curtain held Europe in its steely grip. It's a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. But even in this world, the human spirit endures. We've seen quiet acts of defiance, the yearning for a life beyond the wall. The human heart has a remarkable capacity for hope. Even in the face of oppression, hope finds a way to blossom. It's a testament to our resilience, our refusal to accept the unacceptable. The Berlin Wall could never fully extinguish the human spirit's yearning for freedom. It couldn't silence the whispers of dissent, the dreams of a better world. And in that, there's a profound lesson for us all. The fall of the Berlin Wall was a watershed moment in human history, a victory for freedom over oppression, for democracy over tyranny. It reminds us that the seemingly impossible can happen. But freedom, once won, is a precious and fragile thing. It requires constant vigilance. The fight for freedom is never truly over. We must never take our freedoms for granted. We must stand up and defend them. The legacy of the Berlin Wall serves as a powerful reminder of what's at stake. History is not a straight line. It's a tapestry of choices made and paths not taken. The Berlin Wall offers valuable lessons for the present and future. It teaches the importance of dialogue and diplomacy. It highlights empathy and understanding. The fall of the Berlin Wall reminds us that walls are not inevitable. They are human constructs built on fear and division. And like all human constructs, they can be dismantled. The world today faces new walls, new challenges. But the lessons of the Berlin Wall offer a roadmap for a more peaceful future.